All right, settle in everyone, drinks ready. It's time for another deep dive here on Sip and Talk.
Always a pleasure.
So, you guys know the drill. We take your burning questions, we do a little research, and we unpack it all.
Make it fun.
Make it fun, exactly. And today is a perfect example of that.
Oh, is it ever?
Remember how we asked for your thoughts on the whole EQ versus IQ debate?
Yeah, what happened?
Well, let's just say the response was enthusiastic. Our inbox, it was overflowing.
Really?
It was crazy. Clearly, this topic struck a nerve.
I'm not surprised, though. Not really.
No.
It's a question that's been around forever, right? Decades. But it feels even more relevant now with how fast the world's changing.
Exactly. So, huge shout out to our longtime listener and podcast pal, Micky.
Hey, Micky.
We saw your question in there, and you know we had to tackle this one.
Oh, yeah.
You asked if EQ is really as important as everyone says it is, especially compared to good old-fashioned IQ.
Well, Micky, you've certainly opened a can of worms here.
You really have. In the best way possible, of course.
Of course.
Okay, so let's unpack this whole EQ versus IQ thing.
Lay it on us.
I'll be honest, I'm kind of in the camp that thinks IQ still reigns supreme.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you need brain power to solve problems,
Yeah.
make breakthroughs in science and technology, all that.
Sure.
The good stuff.
I hear you, but I'm going to have to play devil's advocate a little here.
Okay, bring it on.
While IQ is important, no doubt, I think we're underestimating the power of EQ these days, especially in today's world.
How so?
Think about it. So much of what we do relies on collaboration, communication, navigating all these complex social situations.
Yeah.
That's where EQ shines.
Okay, I'm listening, but let's define our terms first.
Right.
For anyone who's not totally up to speed, what exactly is EQ?
So EQ, or emotional intelligence.
Right.
It basically boils down to understanding and managing your own emotions.
Okay.
And also being able to recognize and respond to the emotions of others.
Gotcha.
It's about self-awareness, empathy, communication.
Yeah.
The ability to build relationships.
So, being people savvy.
Yeah. All those soft skills that are suddenly in such high demand.
Right. So you're saying those are important now?
Definitely.
I still think there are tons of fields where IQ is more critical.
Like what?
Like if you're a surgeon, a rocket scientist, a lawyer.
Oh, those...
Surely raw brain power trumps everything else, right?
I'd argue even in those highly technical fields,
Really?
EQ plays a crucial role. Take surgery, for example.
Okay.
A surgeon might have incredible technical skills, genius-level IQ.
Sure.
But if they lack empathy and communication skills, their patients might not feel comfortable or trust their judgment.
Interesting point.
Right.
I guess bedside does matter.
It does.
But still, wouldn't you say IQ is more fundamental?
I don't know.
Like the foundation. And then you could build EQ on top of that.
Not necessarily.
No.
Think of it this way. IQ might give you the building blocks, right?
Yeah.
But EQ provides the blueprint.
The blueprint, okay?
The framework for how those blocks come together.
Interesting.
Without EQ, you might have all the raw materials,
but
struggle to build anything meaningful with them.
Okay. I'm starting to see your side a bit.
A little bit.
But I'm still not entirely convinced.
You knew it.
Could you give me a real-world example of where EQ clearly outshines IQ? Like a situation where someone with sky-high IQ totally flubs it because they're lacking in the EQ department.
Absolutely. Let's say you have a brilliant programmer.
Okay.
The kind who can write code in their sleep.
Right.
They're hired by a tech startup to lead a team developing a groundbreaking new app.
Cool.
But there's a problem.
Uh-oh.
This programmer is completely out of touch with their team.
How so?
They dismiss anyone who doesn't grasp concepts as quickly as they do.
Oh, no.
They're terrible at explaining their ideas in a way that others can understand.
Yeah.
And they have zero patience for collaboration.
Yikes. Sounds like a recipe for disaster, even with all that brain power.
Exact. Despite their intellectual prowess, their lack of EQ creates a toxic work environment.
Oh, wow.
The team becomes demoralized, productivity plummets, and the project ultimately fails.
No.
It's a classic case of high IQ, low EQ, and a reminder that even the brightest minds can be held back by their inability to connect with others.
Wow. Okay, that's a pretty compelling example.
Right.
I'm starting to think there might be more to this EQ thing than I initially gave it credit for.
I'm glad you're coming around.
Yeah.
But it's not about saying EQ is better than IQ.
Right.
It's about recognizing that both are important and that they work best when they're in balance.
In balance, okay.
Yeah. Welcome back to Sip and Talk.
Okay, so,
It seems like we've only just scratched the surface of this EQ versus IQ thing.
right, I'm starting to see how EQ isn't just about being nice. It's about real skills,
Yeah.
skills that can make a difference.
Right, exactly.
But one thing I'm still wrestling with is this. Don't we need logic and reason, too?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, can't emotions sometimes, lead us down the wrong path?
You're hitting on a really crucial point.
Yeah.
Emotions are powerful, and they definitely can cloud our judgment if we're not careful.
Yeah.
Think about making a major financial decision when you're feeling super anxious, or quitting your job in a fit of anger.
Right, not the best idea.
Not exactly the recipe for success, right?
No. I can think of a few impulsive decisions I've made that I totally regret because I let my emotions get the best of me.
I think we all can.
Yeah, so how do we avoid those pitfalls? Is it about, suppressing our emotions completely?
Not at all.
Okay.
Suppressing emotions is like trying to hold a beach ball underwater,
Yeah.
It's going to pop up eventually.
Right.
And probably in a way you don't want.
Okay, so what do we do then?
EQ isn't about ignoring our feelings. It's about understanding and managing them effectively.
Effectively, okay.
It's about recognizing when your emotions are running high and finding healthy ways to cope so you can make rational decisions even under pressure.
Yeah. So it's like having an internal cheer pill you can take when things get heated.
In a way, yes. But it's more about developing self-awareness.
Okay, self-awareness.
That means paying attention to your emotional triggers,
Okay.
noticing how your body reacts when you're stressed or angry,
Yeah.
and figuring out what helps you regain your equilibrium.
Your equilibrium, right?
Maybe it's taking a few deep breaths, going for a walk, journaling, or talking things out with someone you trust.
Right. Those are all good strategies. I like that.
Right.
But even if you're a master of managing your own emotions,
Yeah.
doesn't EQ also involve understanding other people's emotions? That seems even trickier.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Understanding other people's emotions is a key component of EQ.
Key component. Okay.
It's about empathy, being able to put yourself in someone else's shoes
Okay.
and see things from their perspective.
Yeah.
It's about listening actively, paying attention to nonverbal cues, and asking thoughtful questions to really understand where someone is coming from.
That makes sense. But aren't some people just naturally more empathetic than others? Is empathy something you can actually learn?
While some people might have a natural predisposition toward empathy,
Right.
it's definitely a skill that can be developed with practice.
Okay, so how do you do that?
One way to cultivate empathy is to expose yourself to diverse perspectives.
Diverse perspectives.
Read books, watch documentaries, listen to podcasts, and engage in conversations with people who have different backgrounds and experiences than your own.
Okay.
The more you expand your understanding of the world,
Right.
the better equipped you'll be to connect with people on an emotional level.
So it's about stepping outside our comfort zones and being open to learning from others, even if their views differ from our own.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about challenging our assumptions and biases and recognizing that everyone has their own unique story and perspective.
This is all starting to click for me, but I have to ask, isn't there a risk that by focusing so much on EQ, we might, neglect our IQ?
Yeah.
Shouldn't we still be pushing ourselves intellectually, even if we're also working on our emotional intelligence?
I'm so glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
Because it's not an either situation.
Okay.
We need both EQ and IQ to thrive in the world.
We do.
Think of them as complementary skills that enhance each other.
The bigger picture. Okay.
How can EQ contribute to a better society as a whole?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
It feels like we're at a point where the world needs a major EQ boost.
Yeah.
Right? Think about all the division, the conflict,
Oh, yeah.
and just general lack of understanding we're seeing everywhere.
Absolutely. And I truly believe that EQ can be a powerful antidote to those challenges.
An antidote.
Imagine a world where leaders prioritize empathy and collaboration over ego and power struggles.
Right.
Imagine a world where we're better equipped to have difficult conversations with respect and understanding, even when we disagree.
Okay, I'm getting chills just thinking about it. But how do we actually make that happen? It feels like a pretty tall order to rewire society's emotional circuitry.
I hear you. It's definitely not a quick fix.
No.
But I think it starts with small, intentional steps.
Small steps, okay.
One of the most powerful things we can do is prioritize emotional literacy in education.
Emotional literacy.
What if kids were taught about emotions and how to manage them from a young age, just like they learn math and reading?
That's such a brilliant idea. It's like giving them the tools to navigate the emotional landscape from the get-go,
Right.
rather than just throwing them in and hoping for the best.
Exactly. And it's not just about kids.
Oh, okay.
We can also cultivate EQ in our workplaces.
Our workplace is right.
Imagine companies where emotional intelligence is valued as much as technical skills,
Interesting.
where leaders prioritize creating a psychologically safe environment where people feel comfortable speaking up and sharing their ideas.
So it's about shifting the culture, not just on an individual level, but within organizations and systems as well.
Precisely. And it's about recognizing that EQ isn't just some fluffy feel-good concept.
Right, right.
It has real-world implications for things like productivity, innovation, and even conflict resolution.
I'm totally with you on that. The more we've talked about this, the more I've realized that EQ is kind of like a superpower in disguise.
Superpower.
Yeah. It helps us connect with others, navigate challenges,
Right.
and ultimately create a more positive and fulfilling life.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And here's the best part.
What's that?
We all have the capacity to develop our EQ,
We do.
no matter where we're starting from.
That's encouraging.
It's a journey of self-discovery and growth that can truly transform our lives and the world around us.
So to wrap things up, if there's one thing we want our listeners to take away from this deep dive,
Okay.
it's that EQ is not just a buzzword.
It's not.
It's a set of skills that can make a real difference in our personal and professional lives.
Totally.
And it has the potential to create a more compassionate, understanding, and just world.
Beautifully said. And remember, the conversation doesn't have to end here.
Oh, no.
We'd love to hear your thoughts on this topic.
We would.
Have you experienced the power of EQ in your own life?
Yeah, tell us.
Head over to our social media pages and share your stories, insights, and aha moments.
Thanks for joining us on this EQ adventure. Until next time, keep sipping, keep talking, and keep exploring the fascinating world around us.